Hello, everybody, and welcome back again to my channel. And today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. As you look at this introductory picture, you don't see any spinning tape recorders. And there is good reason for that. Essentially, I'm answering one particular request today. One member asked me to do the introduction on my audio system, basically asking me to describe the components and whatnot in this particular situation. And I think it's a reasonable request. After all, a lot of my videos are about the sound quality and how can you ascertain the sound quality if your system is not up to snuff. So the question is basically, is this particular system up to its task? And that's a question we will try to answer today. And perhaps we're not going to give you the full answer to that question, but at least some information on the components, speakers, and whatnot used in this particular setup. So you would be able to make your own judgment whether it is, in your opinion, suitable system or it is not. Right now, you're looking at the view from my listening chair. You see two speakers and two tape recorders in the middle, but those tape recorders are rarely used nowadays. They're very, very fine machines, but it's just that there are so many others. So they've been sitting mostly idle. So you may as well just disregard those recorders for now. And I guess it's no big secret at this point that pretty much all my audio system is based on bad components. And that's true. And even more than just being bad components, pretty much the whole system is vacuum tube based. The source components, the preamplifiers, the power amplifiers, they're all tube based. And when you listen to, say, the D to A converter playing music, like you just did, you're listening to 64 tubes all working in the unison. And normally they work very, very well without any noise, hum, or any kind of nasty artifacts. Today was a minor exception. There was a pop in the left power amp. I replaced a couple of tubes and looks like we are running fine now. But if you hear a strange pop, that's what it is. So that means I still need to do a little bit more troubleshooting on that particular amp. But hopefully it continues to behave throughout this video. This audio setup on surface is fairly complicated. It's got about 16, actually more, probably close to 20 different signal sources that can be connected very easily. And it still keeps it fairly clean. So when you're listening to something critical, your signal path is extremely short. It's directly from your source to the main preamplifier. But in other cases, you have to go through source preselectors. So it is a very convenient way of selecting a particular secondary source, which is not all that critical, as matter might be, but it's only used for casual listening. Normally, for example, like right now, you listen to a piece of music played on my D to A converter, and that one was connected directly to the main preamplifier. And I will tell you a little bit more about it in a second. So let us talk for a second about the sources in this system. And all those sources are also vacuum tube based, And there is a very common element to the design of all those three, and that is zero feedback, zero global feedback in each one of those. They all have balanced architecture, as the name of the company implies. And they're all vacuum tubes, zero feedback, fully balanced. So let's talk for the moment about the signal sources in this system. In addition to multiple tape recorders, you have essentially three other sources of music. And if you look at the screen, those are the sources that are part of this system. From top left to right, the left component on the top row is a CD player. It is VKD5SE CD player with vacuum tube output stage. It is a 24-bit CD player with vacuum tube output stage, as I mentioned. It is all balanced, of course. Even its D2A converter architecture is also fully balanced. To the right from it, you see the phono stage. In this particular case, it is the VKP12SE phono stage. And I kind of feel silly saying it is fully balanced and zero feedback. But I probably should mention, because that's what it is. It's got 10 vacuum tubes inside. It's got plenty of gain for even low output cartridges. It's got input step-up transformers that you can engage if you need to. And it's got very good sound to my ears. So that's what I'm using to play my LPs. Just below the CD player is the DAC. It is a Rex DAC 3, the latest model in the line of Rex DACs. And obviously, yes, it is vacuum tube, fully balanced, zero feedback circuit. It's got very, very high quality D2A converter. And it's got very good sound. And that's what you were listening to just a minute ago. From there we go to the preamplifier. And the preamplifier is basically like the heart of the system, where the source selection happens, volume control, and basically it provides very good signal boost to drive the power amp. In this case, the preamplifier is a module on top. It is a Rex 3 preamplifier. Vacuum tube, single gain stage, all balanced, zero feedback. It got 5 inputs. And its volume control range goes from 0 to 140. Each step is 1/2 dB, so there is plenty of adjustment range. The unit below is just pre-selector. It's an older model, and it's simply used to select one of its 5 inputs, 5 sources, and to send it up to that unit above it for processing. The module just below the oscilloscope is basically the power module for the preamplifier. It is also vacuum tube based. It's got 10 tubes inside, including the rectifier tubes. So it works in conjunction with an upper box to create very, very high quality preamplifier. From there we go to the power amps. As you've seen in previous pictures, there are 2 power amps, one feeding each speaker. The amps are in monoblock configuration. And this particular setup includes two Rex 2 power amps. Yes, all vacuum tube, zero feedback, fully balanced. I'm sorry, I have to say that, because it does describe these particular units. These amps use fairly uncommon output tubes. Those are very, very powerful 6C33 tubes. They're power triodes. They have very low resistance. That's what I like. I don't like high impedance tubes for the output stage. These tubes are marvelous. And as you can see, they connect to the speaker through the toroidal output transformers. Because of the very low tube impedance, the output transformer design is very, very simple. And from the power amplifiers, we of course go to the speakers. And the speakers are marvelous models. This is avant-garde trio model. They're made in Germany. And the first time I've heard the speakers at the show, I fell in love with them. So eventually I was able to obtain a pair for myself. And the color you see here was very much approved by my wife. She loved this color, and I do too. It's gorgeous metallic red color. They say it's one of the Audi colors. Perhaps, I don't know for sure, but it is a beautiful color. The speakers are the four-way speakers. You are seeing three drivers here. And they also include the subwoofers. Now, the subwoofer part is not something I'm really crazy about. As great as those three sections are, the subwoofers are always a source of trouble because they're very, very hard to integrate properly into your system. And this particular system is no exception. It's got a little bit, the bass here is a little bit on the lean side. And given the choices, that's my preference, because if the subwoofer is set up a little bit higher, it starts calling attention to itself. And that's not what you would like to have in a good system. So my preference is on the scene of omission. In other words, I can accept the bass, which is slightly lower than I would love, but it is not interfering with the rest of the music. And that's how it is set up. So overall, I think the sound is very, very comfortable, very nice, beautiful sound, very three-dimensional, especially from this listening position in the middle. And that's what I like about this system. All those components are working, or seem to be working, in very nice unison with each other. Certainly the speakers, being 110 dB sensitive, don't require much drive, but they are driven with 150 watt per channel amplifiers, and they are quite happy with that. They don't make any noise. As you can hear now, there is no noise, no hum. You can put your ear to the speakers, and you can barely hear some very warm kind of tube rush. There is no indication of any problem or noise or hum or buzz in the system. So that takes, obviously, some care. And the next question people are going to ask is, what about the interconnects and cables and the rest, accessories? And I have to tell you up front, I'm not one of those people who believes in super importance of the interconnects. To me, the interconnects have to be of sufficient quality, but not above that. And the system reflects that fact. That's my personal taste. You may agree or disagree with that. I don't believe in $10,000 interconnects. Okay, take me out and shoot me if you will. But that's my belief. So this is, in a nutshell, the system I'm using normally to evaluate my tape recorders, listen to different music for my own pleasure, and just proudly display it to some visitors. Let me know if you have any questions. If you do, I can give you more detailed tour of particular component. For now, thank you so much for stopping by again. And as always, my best wish to you, please stay well. So hopefully I will see you next time. Bye-bye.